And I met this person, it changed my life. What do we care about what changed your life? It has nothing to do with our life. Tired of hearing people telling us that something changed their life. Shut up about yourself.
Jerry, welcome to the show. I really love the film.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Last time we talked, I think it was for your book, and I had gone through and watched a bunch of the stand-up specials you had done for Netflix, and I remembered the bit. I can't remember which one it was, but it was about I would love to go to Battle Creek, Michigan,
Yes.
where the Pop-Tart was made. And when I first had a Pop-Tart as a kid, it blew the back of my brain off, if I'm
Yeah,
remembering that
that was in
correctly.
23 Hours to Kill.
Is that sort of the origin of where the idea where the
It
film came
is.
from?
It's what made Spike and I talk about doing a movie about it, but not seriously. We never thought it could really be a movie. It was just a joke between us. He says, then we'll do the Pop-Tart movie. We'll make a movie about Pop-Tarts because really, if you think about it, well, let's make a movie about the Slinky or about Silly Putty. It sounds fun and funny, but it's impossible. It can't be done because there's no story. But there was a little germ of a story here where Post having come up with the idea first and Kellogg's having to play catch up and try and come out with the same thing at the same time. And then you start thinking about a small town in Michigan, two gigantic companies that hate each other. And it started to go, maybe there is something here.
That's so it's there's a germ. I know a lot of it's made up. There was no, I mean, I don't need to get into it. There was no taste pilots, and Chef
No,
Boyardee
and there
wasn't
was
involved.
no ravioli filled with sea monkeys that could run across the floor.
Okay, I got that. But there is there there is a germ of an idea that some of that was true. There was sort of a space race when it came to the Pop Tart between Post and
Exactly.
Kellogg's.
That part is true. And that was, and then it was Andy Robin, one of our writers, who came up with the right stuff analogy. And here was the line that turned this into a movie. When Andy said, you remember when Jeff Goldblum and Harry Shearer are running down the hall and they burst into into the conference room and LBJ is sitting there in the dark and they go, it's called Sputnik. And they go, we know, sit down. That when Andy said that, I went, "This is a movie."
I mean, cereal comes up a lot in your life over the years. I mean,
Yes,
last time you and I talked, we talked about the difference between morning cereal and nighttime cereal. You did bits about life cereal. There were all the Seinfeld in the Seinfeld show.
yes.
A lot of cereal in there as well. And I found this clip from you on Johnny Carson. I want to play you this.
I eat a lot of cold cereal. That's one of my favorite breakfasts. I really do. But the kids' cereals
Gotta
now.
have fiber now. Gotta have fiber. That's the big thing.
But the sugar ones. They have this one Cookie Crisp. Have you seen this one? There is so much sugar in this that the manufacturer said, well, let's just make it in the cookies. Why not? So this is your breakfast, a bowl of chocolate chip cookies? Why don't they just call this product the hell with everything?
But what goes through your head when you hear that? I
Can't believe I was sitting next to Johnny Carson doing bits. I mean, I still can't believe I did that.
Really?
It's it's like if I saw myself on Ed Sullivan or I Love Lucy or something like that, I can't believe that happened. I haven't heard anything like that in ever, and not since the '80s. I don't replay that stuff. I don't see that stuff. So that just freaks me out just hearing me and Johnny Carson talking.
It's a nice moment where he starts talking back to you and he says, like, well, yes, of course, you have to have fiber. It's a nice.
Yeah, which was not my bit, and I'm like, no, 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 not going that way. I'm going.
Don't mess this up.
Yeah.
Why does cereal show up so much in your comedy?
I'm infantile, and I never really grew up. I never became a real man, and I just kind of comedians. One of the reasons you become a comedian is you don't want to leave the silly, fun, meaninglessness of childhood, and in comedy you get to stay a child because all your friends are the same. They're all immature. And I mean, I'm 70 and I'm making the same childish type jokes I made when I was 12. So
Yeah, I see what you mean.
that is
Yeah.
the you kind of feel like you beat the aging process when you're a comedian, and all the things of childhood you want to keep. I still love toys and bicycles and cereal and ping pong and bowling and watching baseball, and I try and I really have to stretch to imitate an adult in adult environments. I'm really putting on an act. But then when I'm around my comedian friends, I can be myself.
Yeah, I get it. There's an extended childhood there. You can stay up till
Yeah.
2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You can kind of eat whatever you want. You
Yeah,
can
and the
talk about
idea of
whatever
this
you want.
movie is you have these supposedly mature, adult, high-functioning men and women um, dealing with cereal all day. That was also very attractive to me as a movie idea. Real
Because I think in a
businessmen talking about sprinkles and puffs and pops.
I think that's kind of the hallmark of a lot of the work that you've done. I mean, I was thinking about Bee Movie
Yeah.
because Bee Movie is a very serious movie about a bee suing the human race for extracting honey. It's a silly movie, but it's taken really, really seriously.
Yeah. Well,
And
B-movie
you
is
know,
really more about what I consider to be the most perfect society of living things. I think bees have a perfect society. It's the most organized, it's the most elegantly structured. There's no discord in it. And they create this incredible thing. If you take the honey out of it, who cares? It's just another bug. But they create honey, which is, one of the most amazing things in existence. Well, we're not here to talk about B-movie, though.
no, we're here to talk about Unfrosted.
Yeah.
And which believe you me.
Yeah.
And there's a similar, like, taking something silly very, very seriously in Unfrosted.
Well,
what
that's
you were
my
talking
entire
about.
life. Everything I do is that same basic.
What do you mean?
Everything I talk about is you never heard someone talk seriously about like I mean virtually everything I do, every subject I touch on it's not a important subject, but I talk about it as if it is. And that's where the fun is to me. I like making the mundane dramatic.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just thinking about the Seinfeld show now. I mean, so much of that show was just about taking.
Everything is cataclysmic. A girl invites him up for coffee. He doesn't want coffee, so he doesn't go up to her apartment. And then he realizes it's not about coffee. It had nothing to do with coffee. But just an innocent, meaningless little moment like that becomes high drama.
Or when you were talking about still liking silly things, liking sweet things, liking Pepsi, I was thinking about that scene when George says, "Who would want to have wine over ring dings and Pepsi?"
Right. Or the junior mint being the thing that cures the guy. Me and Kramer watching surgery, eating junior mints. I mean, there's a perfect example of, you're just juxtaposing the silliest, most meaningless thing with something quite heavy and serious.
Yeah, and that you're right. And then in this film, there's all these very serious, suited people, and the president of the United States, and the leader of the Soviet Union,
Yes.
doing a Cuban Missile Crisis thing about cereal.
Yes, right. They're trying to bring in illegal Cuban sugar, which, by the way, it was the major Cuban export at the time.
So it's historically accurate.
Yeah, there was something there.
I watched the Curb Your Enthusiasm finale.
Uh-huh.
Can I ask you about that?
Why not?
Sure. I watched this stand-up Q&A you did, this clip of the stand-up Q&A, and someone had called out to you something about the finale. Something about like, oh, what are you going to do about the Seinfeld finale, or how do you feel about the finale? And I saw you say something on stage like, Larry and I we got something in the works on that. And that's all you kind of said.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't want to spoil it because it's worth people seeing Unfettered, but you the finale of Seinfeld, for people who don't know, was this, it was sort of, I want to talk about this a little bit, but it was sort of panned in a reason I don't really know why, but you and George and Elaine and Kramer were sent to jail. And then in Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry is sent to jail. You come, something happens that he's able to get out, and you say, geez, this is how we should have ended the Seinfeld show. Can you tell me about the conversations you and Larry had to do that?
Well, believe it or not, that idea occurred about 5 minutes before you see it on film. It was very late on a Friday night. They were wrapping their entire series, and obviously they were reflecting the end of the Seinfeld series with the end of the Curb series, doing the jail thing, except he gets out. And I thought, let's talk about how this would have been a great idea for the end of the Seinfeld series. Why didn't we do it? And we couldn't think of a reason why we didn't think of it. And then we both just kind of shrug our shoulders and walk out the door. And honestly, it was one of the most exciting moments of my life that idea occurred just 5 minutes before you see it in Curb. And then I realized that we set up a joke 25 years ago and just paid it off. And the only possible way that could happen is 2 TV series run in succession with each of the creators playing themselves in the series. So you're going from 1988 to 2024. I don't even know how many years that is. 36 years. The mathematics of what had to be in place for that opportunity to even present is what's remarkable about it, that you even had that opportunity.
I didn't understand when I first watched it that the Seinfeld finale was even that panned.
A lot of people didn't like it.
I liked it.
Oh, well, thanks. I mean, what we wanted at the time was to see all the great characters that we had had over the years that made the show and give them one last chance to speak their piece. We thought that would be fun, and it was fun. And I think the only mistake, if there was one, was leaving them in jail. We didn't really have to do that. But when me and Larry David and Jeff Schaefer, who was also one of the Seinfeld writers, were on the set of Curb that late Friday night, we went, yeah, that was maybe our only mistake. And I said, we could fix it right now. And we all looked at each other like, that's an amazing opportunity that you could even do that, because we're in Larry's fictional world now, 25 years later. So the whole thing, I just found the whole thing mind-blowing.
I love the scene of you and Larry talking to one another in that, just kind of having a chat at the hotel bar.
Right.
And someone told me about an episode of Smartless that Larry did recently, where he said that Jerry Seinfeld and I are kind of the exact same person. There's really no difference between me and Jerry.
That is true.
Was that always the case when you first met, or did one sort of grow into the other?
No, it was instant. And I knew it. And as soon as NBC gave me this opportunity, and I asked Larry if he would work with me on it, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I saw Larry recently. Well, last time I saw him was when we shot that Curb thing. But then a couple months before that, we went on a vacation together, which we had never done in our lives, but our wives forced us to do it. And we had never spent large chunks of time just hanging out. We were either doing stand-up or we were working on the show. And obviously you're not gonna go out to dinner with someone that you've just spent 15 12-hour days with. You're gonna want to see other people. So it's something that we never did. And we were together and we could not breathe from laughing so hard, because our senses of humor are so incendiary together. I think everybody in their life comes across a couple of relationships that they have that are crazy. They're kind of crazy. There's a connection that's crazy. And it might just be in one aspect. and the whole rest of the relationship doesn't really work. But there's one connection that's just electric. And that's what Larry and I have. And we hadn't seen each other and hung out in a long time. And it's just as strong as ever. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was. It was a beautiful thing. And that we did that curb thing. I can't tell you what it means to me. It was, the funny thing was, we were debating what's the best series finale of all time. I'm personally a fan of the Mad Men finale, and I also like the Sopranos final moment. And we all thought, well, we tried, and we're not in that conversation of one of the greats, the Bob Newhart one. And then we became one of the greats in that moment. That we connected two TV series 25 years apart. That was an arrow that landed in the sun, comedically speaking.
How are you feeling about? You mentioned you're 70. You told me that.
70,
earlier.
yeah.
How does that feel? Is that just another?
I don't care. It doesn't interest me.
I don't know. You hear of people have the 0 birthdays.
They're egomaniacs. I don't have that in my life and I met this person. It changed my life. What do we care about what changed your life? It has nothing to do with our life. Tired of hearing people telling us that something changed their life. Shut up about yourself.
It reminds me, I have my friend Donovan. I texted him one time, happy birthday, and he wrote back, what's wrong with you?
That's my kind of person.
Why are we why are we celebrating birthdays?
It's all right. It's fine. I like cake.
I want to go out on the last time you were here. We talked about the difference between morning cereal and evening cereal. You also gave me a hard time for saying you gave me a hard time for saying quick question to you.
Yeah, I'm still working on my quick question, but audiences don't seem to get it. There's nothing slower than a quick question. I have a quick question. Why the always announcing? I got a question for you. Here's my question. Why do we announce questions as if people are going to be thrown? Whoa, wait a minute. You mean you want an answer? Excuse me.
I thought I caught it.
I have a question.
Christian Slater says quick question in the movie. I caught that.
He does?
Yeah.
When is that?
When you come out of the house and he's there as the milkman, and before he knocks you out, he says quick question, and then he says something, and then you drink
sure?
Oh, yeah, you kidding me? I was so happy about it. I got more people coming up to me in Toronto saying, how about that quick question than anything I've ever done? I could have interviewed the Dalai Lama, and getting you to give me a hard time about quick question, I got more drinks bought for me in Toronto than anything else.
What's funny to me about that scene is how quickly he seems to come from across the street at his truck to my driveway. It takes him like a half a second.
We're getting the wrap, but I'm gonna do this anyway.
Okay.
I want to give you a quick either or for cereals. You ready for this?
Yeah. Why are you asking if I'm ready? What am I doing here? How could I not be ready?
What else do I have to do?
I have nothing going on here but you, Tom.
Thank you, buddy. Shreddies versus cornflakes.
Cornflakes.
Want to show your work?
No.
Okay.
I mean, shredded wheat is a disaster. Is that what you're talking about? Shredded wheat?
Shreddies, like go Shreddies. Like
I don't know what shreddies are. That sounds Canadian.
Oh, wow. They're good.
Yeah.
They're like our cornflakes.
Oh, okay. Enjoy them.
Fruity Pebbles versus Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops, despite the palate irritation. Very irritating palate, abrasive. It's an abrasive cereal, Fruit Loops.
Raisin Bran versus Special K.
Raisin Bran. I'm always
that's my
on the
favorite.
side of the raisin.
And finally, and this is maybe an obvious one, Pop-Tart versus Toaster Strudel.
What? I'm gonna give you a pass on that one. You have any other? That question's so bad.
You don't know about the Toaster Strudel?
No, I don't want to know about it. What is
Is this
like a little strudel?
is this a
and you
Canadian
heat it
thing?
up?
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds
We would
good.
have them in Canada.
I never had
And
one.
they give you the icing in a packet, and you can draw it on yourself.
That sounds pretty strong, I have to admit. That sounds good. I've never had it, but it's a
Well,
good
I can.
thought. But I would have the Pop-Tart for, the obvious investment I've made into this movie.
Jerry, thanks for making the time. It's always nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it.